Hello children, I am Sai Brahmari. What are you thinking to do today? How can you think? What organ of your body help you to think? Let us think and learn about the interesting topic nervous system, brain, from the lesson Control and Coordination of class 10 biology. What is the importance of nervous system? It controls and coordinates various activities and functions of different organs and organ systems in the body. It regulates both voluntary and involuntary activities of the body. It enables us to adjust to the environment or situation. It enables us to think, reason and remember. It controls all the reflex actions of the body. You have already studied that the basic unit of the nervous system is the nerve cell or neuron. A neuron is a structural and functional unit of the nervous system. The neurons carry messages in the form of electrical signals called nerve impulses. There are three types of neurons called sensory neurons, motor neurons, and mixed neurons. A sensory neuron carries impulses from receptors to the brain or spinal cord. The motor neuron carries impulses from the brain or spinal cord to the effectors, and a mixed neuron carries both stimulus and response impulses. Learning outcomes. After studying this topic, you will be knowing about components of the nervous system, central nervous system, CNS, brain, structure and functions. Keywords: brain, meninges, cerebrospinal fluid. CSF. Diencephalon. Cerebrum. Convulsions. Cerebellum. Brainstem or medulla oblongata. Let us see the concept map. On the nervous system. Functional components associated with the nervous system. The functional components associated with the nervous system are receptors, effectors, conductors. The organs that receive stimuli are called receptors. Example, sense organs. The organs which show visible responses are called effectors. Example, muscles and glands. The tissues which connect the receptors and effectors and help in the transmission of impulses are called conductors. Example, nerves. The nervous system in humans. There are three main divisions in the nervous system. The parts present on the central axis are the brain and spinal cord, and they form central nervous system, CNS. The nerves arising from the brain are called cranial nerves, and those from the spinal cord are the spinal nerves. The spinal nerves form the peripheral nervous system, PNS. We can also see a network of nerves connected to involuntary organs controlling and coordinating their functioning, which is called autonomic nervous system, ANS. Central nervous system, CNS. The CNS in man consists of the brain and spinal cord. Both the brain and spinal cord are surrounded by three membranes: outer dura mater, middle arachnoid, and inner pia mater. They are together called meninges. The space between the arachnoid and pia mater is filled with a watery fluid called cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, that keeps flowing between brain and spinal cord. Brain. Proportionate to the body size, the human brain is the largest of all animals. The brain is present in the hard, bony, box-like structure called the cranium. The CSF serves as a shock absorbing medium and protects the brain against shocks along with the meninges and cranium. Mainly, the nerve cell bodies together with the capillaries form a mass called grey matter. The myelinated axons, or those covered by fatty sheets, form white matter. The grey matter is usually present on the periphery, while white matter is present towards the center. This is mainly because there is a small area from where the myelinated axons leave the brain. The human brain is formed of three main parts called forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain. The forebrain is formed of the cerebrum and diencephalon. The latter consists of the dorsal thalamus and ventral hypothalamus. Cerebrum. It is the largest portion, forming nearly 2/3 of the brain. The cerebrum is longitudinally divided into two halves as right and left cerebral hemispheres by a deep cleft called median cleft. Two cerebral hemispheres are interconnected by a thick band of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. The outer portion of each cerebral hemisphere is formed of grey matter and is called the cerebral cortex. The inner or deeper part is formed of white matter and is called the cerebral medulla. The cortex is extremely folded, forming convolutions called gyri with depressions between them called sulci that increase its surface area. Each cerebral hemisphere is divisible into a frontal lobe, a parietal lobe, a temporal lobe, and an occipital lobe. These lobes are also known as cerebral lobes and are associated with specific functions. Any damage in a specific lobe in turn affects its function. The information gained through the sense organs is stored in the cerebral cells and is used whenever required and called memory. Cerebrum also has centers for intelligence, imagination, emotions, reasoning, and willpower. Diencephalon is a small area that is covered with the cerebrum. It has two parts. The thalamus, which receives nerve impulses from many sense organs and sends them to the cortex, and the hypothalamus. hypothalamus regulates body temperature, water balance, appetite and sleep. It also controls the autonomic nervous system and pituitary gland. It is an important link between the nervous and endocrine systems. Midbrain. It is a small region of the brain made up of nerve fibers. It connects the forebrain and the hindbrain, through which impulses move from the hindbrain to the forebrain. It controls the reflex movements of the head and neck in response to visual and auditory stimuli. Hindbrain. The hindbrain has three parts, namely the cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum is the second largest part of the brain. It has two large sized hemispheres and a middle vermis. It lies below and behind the cerebrum. It controls and coordinates the movement of muscles while walking or running. Hence, it is responsible for the maintenance of the balance of the body. Pons is a Latin word meaning bridge. Pons is situated in front of the cerebellum, below the midbrain and above the medulla oblongata. It regulates mastication, facial expression, respiration and sleep cycle. The medulla oblongata is the posterior most part of the brain. And continues as the spinal cord into the trunk region. It has cardiac, respiratory and vasomotor centers concerned with involuntary activities like heartbeat, breathing, and movements of the digestive tract like swallowing, coughing, and vomiting. It is also involved in the secretion of enzymes and maintaining blood pressure. The brain weighs approximately 400 grams. The brain comprises little more than 2% of the body's weight. It uses 20% of the whole body's energy. Electroencephalogram EEG is an instrument that records the electrical impulses of the brain. An EEG can detect abnormalities in the brain waves and help in the diagnosis of seizures, epilepsy, brain tumors, head injuries, etc. Points to remember.